All right, so today we're diving into something pretty cool. You've probably heard of Starlink for like home internet, right?
Yeah.
But there's this whole other version of it called Starlink Maritime. It's specifically made for boats.
Exactly.
And today we're going to break down the differences for you.
Sounds good.
This deep dive is based on this article comparing Starlink Maritime's flat high performance antenna to the standard Starlink antenna. So if you're into cutting edge tech or just the idea of, having good internet out on the open ocean, this one's for you.
Definitely.
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how Starlink is aiming to provide reliable internet access for everyone out on the water. I mean, from, casual weekend boat trips to like those massive research vessels navigating the globe.
I know, it's mind-blowing. Like the idea of streaming a movie or even just checking email while you're miles offshore, kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So walk us through this. What makes Starlink Maritime so different from the Starlink you might see, installed in a house?
Well, the key difference really comes down to the antenna. They have this specialized, flat, high-performance antenna. And it's designed specifically for the challenges of being on a boat. I mean, think about it. The environment's completely different. You've got rough seas. Sometimes you have limited visibility of the sky. And there's constant exposure to water spray. So this antenna really tackles those challenges head on.
So you can't just slap a regular Starlink dish on a boat deck?
Oh, no, not at all. For example, this maritime antenna has 35% more sky visibility than the standard antenna, which means it can connect to more satellites.
Oh, wow.
At the same time. And that means you get a stronger and more stable connection.
Which is pretty crucial when you're, dealing with the rocking and rolling of a boat.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, the article mentioned something about improved performance in like hotter temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that such a big deal, especially for, maritime applications?
Right. Well, standard Starlink, it can actually slow down in extreme heat, which is something you're obviously more likely to encounter when you're out on the water.
For sure.
But this maritime version is engineered to withstand those super high temperatures, up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And it does that without sacrificing any speed.
Wow.
In fact, it can be up to 3 times faster than the land-based version in those conditions.
3 times faster. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a big performance boost.
Okay. I also noticed that Starlink Maritime comes with this new Gen 3 router.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a major upgrade from the previous model? And what are the benefits for someone on a boat?
It is a significant upgrade, especially for a boat's Wi-Fi network. The Gen 3 router has Wi-Fi 6 for those, super fast speeds. And it's got tri-band radios, which give you better mesh networking across the entire vessel.
So you get good coverage everywhere on the boat.
Exactly.
That's nice.
And it has an extended range, which is great for larger boats. And there's even advanced speed testing built right into the Starlink app, so you can check the performance in different areas of your boat and make sure you have the best coverage everywhere.
That's a neat feature. All this talk about antennas and routers is pretty fascinating. But let's get to the question that I think everyone's probably asking. How fast is Starlink Maritime?
Right.
What kind of download and upload speeds are we talking about in the real world?
Well, based on the data we have, Starlink Maritime is delivering download speeds that range from 40 to over 220 millities.
Wow.
And upload speeds from 8 to over 25 millities. And what's really impressive is the latency is very low. Less than 99 milliseconds.
That's incredible. Those speeds sound really solid for things like, working remotely or streaming, even when you're on a boat. But I am curious, though. The article mentioned the possibility of combining multiple Starlink Maritime antennas with 5G using an MDS blender.
Yeah.
And that could potentially reach speeds of up to 1 Gbps. I mean, what kind of real-world scenarios would someone on a boat need that much bandwidth for?
That's a great question. I mean, most recreational users probably wouldn't need that kind of extreme speed. But imagine research vessels. They're processing huge amounts of data in real time. Or even think about telemedicine applications, where you really need low latency and high bandwidth. It opens up all sorts of possibilities for the future of maritime activities.
Yeah, it really does. It's incredible to think about all the things you could do with that level of connectivity. This is definitely not your average satellite internet package.
It's definitely in a different league.
So let's talk about the cost. Is Starlink Maritime just for the super rich?
Well, it's definitely a premium service, and the pricing reflects that. They offer different data packages to suit different needs. You can choose from 50 GB of priority data for $250 per month, or 1 TB for $1,000 per month. And if you need a ton of data, there's a 5 TB package for $5,000 per month.
Okay, so there are options depending on how much data you need. But those prices do seem to cater to a specific market. But I am interested in that perk of unlimited mobile data on land that's included with all those plans. Yeah. That seems like a pretty unique benefit, especially for, boat owners who also travel on land.
Yeah, it is. It recognizes that boat owners aren't always out at sea. So whether you're driving across the country in an RV or exploring a new city in your car, you have that same high-speed internet connection, just like you would on your boat.
That is really cool. It almost makes it more like a comprehensive internet solution, not just something for when you're out on the water. Speaking of which, the article did mention that Starlink has made some changes to their plans recently.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like they've discontinued the best effort service plan, which I guess suggests a move towards focusing on those higher tier services with guaranteed performance.
So they're doubling down on that top-notch experience for users who really need a solid connection, whether for work or just for fun.
Yeah, seems like it.
That makes a lot of sense, especially given how demanding the maritime environment can be.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to see how Starlink is pushing the boundaries of where we can have reliable internet access. I mean, for centuries, being out at sea meant being disconnected, and now that barrier is being broken down.
I know, it's crazy to think about. Not that long ago, having decent internet on a boat was like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about speeds that are just as fast as what people have at home.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I was really interested in the article's focus on the wedge mount design. With that 8-degree tilt on the Starlink Maritime antenna. Why is that so important for boats?
Well, that tilt serves a couple of purposes. First, it helps with water runoff. These antennas are out in the elements all the time.
Right.
So a design that sheds water quickly, that's really important for both durability and performance. You don't want water pooling up on top and messing with the signal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Water and electronics don't usually mix well.
Exactly. The second reason for that tilt has to do with how the antenna interacts with the satellites. Having that slight angle allows the antenna to maintain a better connection, even when the boat is, pitching and rolling on the waves.
So it's all about maximizing that signal strength and stability, no matter how rough the seas are. It's almost like the antenna is constantly adjusting to find the best connection.
That's a good way to put it. It's a really clever combination of design and engineering. It ensures a reliable internet experience regardless of the conditions.
It seems like they thought of every scenario to make sure you have a seamless internet connection, whether you're just sailing on a lake or you're navigating a cargo ship across the ocean.
Yeah, that attention to detail is key. Starlink Maritime isn't just about offering internet on boats. It's about providing a level of connectivity and reliability that was unthinkable before in the maritime world. And that really opens up so many possibilities.
It does. And that brings me to another point that I found interesting in the article, the whole thing about latency. You mentioned earlier that Starlink Maritime boasts low latency. But for those who maybe aren't as familiar with all the tech terms, can you break down why low latency is important, especially when you're out on a boat?
Sure. Latency basically refers to the delay between when you request data and when you actually receive it. High latency means longer delays. You've probably experienced this as lag. When you're streaming a video or playing an online game, imagine trying to video call someone on shore while you're on a boat with high latency. The choppy video and delayed audio would make it impossible to have a conversation.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
No, not at all. Low latency ensures that smooth, real-time communication. And that's crucial for everything from basic phone calls to more complex things like remote work or, as you mentioned earlier, telemedicine.
That's a great explanation. It makes you realize how important low latency is for making all these different internet applications actually work.
It is, and it goes beyond just, practical applications. Low latency can also be vital for safety. Imagine an emergency situation. Being able to communicate clearly and instantly, that could be the difference between a minor inconvenience and a major problem.
That's a really good point. Reliable communication at sea can be a lifesaver. It seems like Starlink Maritime really is changing things for anyone who lives, works, or just enjoys being on the water.
I think so too. It's changing how we think about what's possible at sea. And as technology keeps advancing, who knows what innovations are next? Maybe seamless internet in even more remote and challenging environments, like underwater or even in space.
That would be incredible. But for now, I think it's time we move on. Let's shift gears and take a look at the bigger picture. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore the broader implications of Starlink Maritime and what it all means for the future of connectivity. All right, so welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Starlink Maritime. We've talked about a lot, the special antenna, the super fast speeds, and even that unlimited mobile data on land. But now let's zoom out a little. What does Starlink Maritime really mean for the future of connectivity? And why should all of you listening care about this?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one thing to have internet on your boat, but what's the bigger picture here? For centuries, being at sea meant being totally cut off from the rest of the world. Communication was limited, and forget about accessing information. Starlink Maritime is changing all that.
It's not just about convenience then. It's about
Yeah,
breaking down these barriers that have existed for so long. It's
exactly.
pretty profound.
It really is. Think about what it could mean for scientific research. With Starlink Maritime research, vessels can send data back in real time, so scientists can study marine life, ocean currents, and weather patterns in ways that were impossible before.
Like having a floating laboratory with a direct connection to scientists and resources all over the world. That's a game changer.
And it's not just science that benefits, right? What about industries like shipping or fishing?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine cargo ships staying connected with ports, optimizing routes and becoming more efficient. Or fishermen getting real-time weather forecasts.
Or even market data.
Exactly. It makes things safer and potentially more profitable.
It's amazing how internet access can revolutionize so many things.
It really is.
And we can't forget about the people who just like to go boating for fun, being able to video chat with your family.
Or stream movies while you're out on the ocean.
Yeah, it adds a whole new level of comfort and entertainment.
For sure.
And with even faster speeds in the future.
Yeah, with multiple antennas and 5G, the possibilities are pretty exciting. I'm picturing like floating cities with gigabit internet.
That's the dream.
It sounds like science fiction, but who knows?
It really is an exciting time to be following these advancements. Starlink Maritime is just the beginning. A new era of connectivity that goes way beyond where we've been before. It shows us that technology can connect us in ways we never thought possible.
To each other, to information, to new opportunities. As we wrap up this deep dive into Starlink Maritime, I think it's pretty clear that this technology is a big deal. It has the potential to change our relationship with the ocean, breaking down those old barriers and opening up all these opportunities for exploration, communication, and innovation. So here's something to think about. If Starlink Maritime can bring high-speed internet to the ocean, what other impossible places might have internet access in the future? Let us know your thoughts on social media and keep exploring the world of connectivity. Thanks for joining us.